And welcome back to the Heartbroken and Housebroken podcast. My name is Spiro. I hope you guys are having an excellent week. I know I am. It's been a busy one. I've been trying to get this out every Tuesday, but scheduling is always complicated. I'm going to get myself in a good flow, so we'll be more consistent with the posting. But a once a week podcast, just to start out, I guess. Beggars can't be choosers, so here we are. But this week was a good week, man. I had a good week. I started off the week. I was at Wise Guys this weekend. I did the Comedy Rumble with my friend Kay Banks. It's her show. I mean, and it's an excellent show. It really is. They have like a competition between a bunch of comics where they do like 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Winner gets to do 10 minutes at the end of the show. And then they have some feature spots. So I got to feature spot and I had a great set. It was one of those sets where I was just like, I'm not going to do anything that I normally do. I'm just going to kind of be open to what happens with this crowd and see what goes on. Because I've been really trying to push and kick off like my material. Like I've really been trying to work it and shape it. And I don't know, man. Sometimes you just need to break away from it. At least I do. You know, I get bored of, I don't get bored of my own stuff, but like, I just need change, you know? And I've been doing this widower material. I've been doing this darker material for about 1.5 years now. And I love it. Like, and I love the way that it's been building. And I love the way that I've been crafting it. But Friday night was those ones where I was like, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to do my set. I'm going to, you know, take some notes. I'm going to work on my stuff. And then I just went up there and I had fun and I got to do a whole bunch of improv, which I'm good at. I'm good at improv and I love doing improv. And that was kind of how my comedy journey started, was through improv. So it's one of these things where, again, I'm just discovering who I am. You know, I started doing stand-up a few months before Sarah got sick. And I didn't realize how much that kind of shaped what I was doing. And she never had any issues with what I talked about. She never like, you know, she always thought I was funny. She would always shake my head if I said something wildly inappropriate. But when you have someone who's just so sick and going through such a hard time and you're going through such a hard personal time, talking about it during just didn't feel right, you know? And I'm all about people talking about the thing. Like, obviously, when I'm on stage, I talk about some dark stuff. Like, I'm not trying to say people shouldn't talk about things they want to talk about. But it was one of those things where, one, I was new and I was very new in comedy. I did improv for a while, just started doing stand-up. So I really didn't know how to craft or even attempt to craft material about the dark shit that I was going with. But then at the same time, you kind of like want to protect who you're with. You know what I mean? Like, she was a teacher. She didn't want any of the spotlight. She didn't want anybody, you know, she liked to be to herself and she liked to share her story and she liked to give updates on her health because, you know, when you're going through something so horrific, so young, we don't really know what to do. Yeah, you don't realize how much you kind of have to keep it together for the other person. You know, I couldn't go on stage and just riff out my feelings about what I was feeling in the moment with what was going on. I couldn't make fun of it because we were in it together and it just didn't feel right talking about. There were some things I talked about. You know, I did a roast where I brought up her cancer and used it and she thought it was funny. And she would always be like, nothing good comes from cancer. So like, might as well find something good out of it. And now that she's gone and it's been a few years and I've been able to process it, go to therapy, I'm on antidepressants. I'm in a better place just stress-wise, right? Like, I'm not in this fight or flight mode anymore when I'm taking care of a sick partner who like could die at any given moment. And I'm finally starting to feel like my stand-up is reflecting that again. And my comedy is reflecting that again. Because like I said, I started very much in the improv world. I played hockey. I got hurt. I couldn't play hockey in LA. So I started improv, and I did improv for a very long time. And to be honest with you, I loved it. There was something about it that I just absolutely loved. There's a lot about it that I just don't like. You know, I mean, I think everybody has the same type of dislikes with improv. It's a little goofy. It's a little gimmicky. Sometimes the people are overly energetic with camp counselor energy. It's like a lot of team building, camp counselor, corporate manager energy in improv. But I loved it. I love the dynamic of just thinking off the top of your head, creating something special out of nothing, being vulnerable. If something doesn't work, you just sack up and you move the fuck on and try to make something else work. And I think it was just something that I didn't realize was such a big part of me and my comedy. And, you know, I know that like everyone's sick of crowd work and all this kind of stuff, that we went through this heavy phase with Matt Rife and everybody like that. But it's me. It's part of me. Just being able to improv something and then call it back later into my set. Like I do a lot of like, I'll like pull things from the audience, or I'll pull things and then I'll use them as callbacks or ad libs for punchlines or tags later. And I genuinely just had a lot of fun on stage. And it's moments like that. It's such simple, small moments where you realize like, oh yeah, I'm still working through this shit. You know, like I think grief does a great job of disguising itself in two ways. I think one, you don't even realize how bad things are going when things are going bad. Like when Sarah was sick, you know, we try to pretend like everything was okay. We try to just more doctor's appointments. Just more doctor's appointments. That was kind of the mentality we had because she was already dealing with some health issues. She had a neck surgery. So we're just like, just more doctor's appointments, just more waiting. And then you don't realize that you're in a doctor almost 5 days a week, hours on end, and everything is rotated around doctors and checkups and scans and finding out results and chemo and the sickness around it. And you don't realize how much it takes over your life. Just slowly. It just grabs you. It's like you ever see those videos where crocodiles grab deer? Like the deer are just standing, or the gazelles or the antelope are just standing by the pond, or the lake, or whatever the hell alligators or crocodiles live in, oceans, seas. And they're just standing there, Giselle, like Giselle, you know, Tom Brady's wife, just standing there. The gazelle's just standing there. They got a bird on their horn, right? They're just chilling. They're just chilling in the world. And then all of a sudden this alligator pops out of fucking the water and drags them in. And there's no hope. That's what grief is. Grief is an alligator waiting in a pond for a gazelle. And like, you don't realize it. Like you really just don't realize fully what grief is. You think grief is just sadness, but grief is a lot of stress. It's just a lot of alertness, I guess is a good word. You're alert about so many things all the time. You're just running on high. You're like a vacuum running on a high. Eventually you're going to burn out. Eventually you're not going to work the way you worked before. And now that it's been almost 4 years, I'm still getting these reminders. And I have a great support system, and they keep telling me like, yeah, man, you're still in the thick of things. You're still like, Liz is very like, yeah, it hasn't been that long. But the grief tricks you. It feels like it's been forever, but it also feels like it's been yesterday. Like I feel like I lost Sarah maybe a year ago. It doesn't feel that long. But then when I look back at everything that's happened since then, you realize how much time's gone by. And it's just crazy. It's really crazy to just see how far I've come along. I look in the mirror. I don't recognize myself. I did stage the whole time. The whole time Sarah was sick. The whole time after she passed. And I didn't realize how different I was. And I didn't realize how much it affected me on stage and with how I'd perform and how much like I enjoyed doing it. There'd be times where I'd be stressed the fuck out before going on stage. And I was like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. And I would be like, I have to do it because I did it while Sarah was here. Like what, like all this time I put in where I could have been with her. You know, you start thinking these crazy things where you're like, man, I got to keep going because I wasted so much time doing this while she was still here. And then I developed not like a weird hatred for it, but it's like I didn't know if it was something I enjoyed doing anymore. Like I loved when I was there and I was on stage and everything. I would always have fun. I would always enjoy being around the people, but the dynamic of me just having fun was missing for a very, very long time. And then I started trying to get into this dark material because I just wanted to tell my story because I feel like it's a unique story and there's not a lot of us out there. And there's not a voice for us out there. And I'll continue to say this. Whenever I bring up the widower material, the vibe in the room changes immediately. And no matter how I try to soften it, I mean, I always get there. Some audiences right away, some audiences it does take a joke or two to finally crack them. But now I see myself and I feel myself on stage and I'm like, I can have fun and get my message across in the same way because I'm a different person now and I'm discovering what uniquely made me me. I go back to improv. I did improv since 2006, man. It's almost 20 years professionally. We had a show in Vegas. We had a residency. I taught improv. I still teach improv. It's ingrained in my body. It's ingrained in my mind. So thank you to everyone who's booked me on shows and it just kind of lets me fuck around because really it's me just trying to self-discover myself. I don't know if that makes any sense. We can Google if that's grammatically correct later. But this was a fun show for me on Friday because, again, I finally felt like I evolved into who I am on stage and who I am as a performer and who I am as a comedian. And am I fully there yet? No, I'm still a work in progress. I still got some places to go. But man, when I tell you that set, and then earlier in the week, Liz and I went to Lake Havasu and the fun, just the pure joy that I've been having doing comedy. It's been a long time coming and I'm happy that it's finally back and I'm happy that I'm finally feeling it and I'm excited for what you guys are and plan to see from me going forward. If you're enjoying this podcast, please drop a subscribe, hit the little bell, all that good stuff. If you have social media, perfect. Follow me at Spiro on That Show, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok. Let's be honest, is TikTok going anywhere? Probably not. So follow me on that as well. All of my shows that I post will be on those platforms. So if you guys are trying to catch me live or just trying to see the content I put out, that's the best way to do it. Again, I appreciate you guys for all your support. I hope you're enjoying. So we spoke about grief in the last segment, and I'm going to kind of continue on this because obviously, if you guys know me, it's been a big topic, big issue for me for a long time. I mean, I suffer from severe depression. I have PTSD. I have anxiety from everything I've went through with Sarah. And some months, you turn that into like motivation. You're like, I'm feeling great. This is what I'm destined for. You know, she's with me. My dad's with me. Like, that's the thing. I got smacked back to back. You know, Sarah had her long fight with cancer, passed away, and then my dad 6 months later suddenly passed away. So I literally had to deal with like two different types of grief. And they're different. They're different in so many ways. And like my dad, the last month my dad was alive, we went to White Sox games, we traveled, we went to families' weddings together. Like we just did a lot of fun stuff. So when he passed, it's difficult, but like, I could smile about it a little bit more because the last month or two, like I know he was happy and we had a good time and I have good memories. Sarah, the grief is hard because it was just so ugly. The battle was so ugly for 4 years. Just pain and sickness and sadness and we were uncertain. We were two young kids trying to figure it out, And it's crazy now because I'm like TikTok and Google and AI. There are so many questions that we had that we just didn't know the answers to that are available now. Like even when we tried to like figure out what was going on initially, when you Google something back in the day, it was like cancer, AIDS, you know what I mean? HIV, like it's always something horrific. There's a lot of jokes about it. But when we Googled her symptoms, they literally were like, it's anything but cancer. And then it turned out being terminal cancer. It's hard. It's hard now being so past it and then seeing all these things that I wish I could have done better. Regret's always going to be a thing that I feel surrounding Sarah's death. Like it's just inevitable. You always think like maybe if we took her to this doctor, something would have been better. Maybe if we did this, it would have turned out better. Maybe, if just you do these things and it's difficult. And some months, again, I take all of that as motivation. Like, look, she fought these battles. My dad's gone. They want me to do this. They want me to be happy. And it's good fuel. And I'll use it and I'll get through it. And then there's just difficult months. Difficult months, man. And what I've realized is it's not the months. It is the months towards the time of their deaths. So like Sarah passed in February. My dad passed in August. So right around those times, I do start to get a little bit. Ooh, you know what I mean? Sarah's birthday in July. So like May, June, July, it's the build up to it. That's what I've learned is the build up is scarier than the actual event. Like the first year Sarah passed, the year anniversary of her passing, because our marriage anniversary, everything is like right in that same week. So it's like a lot of heavy emotions like going. And for like a month, 2 months before, you feel this like, you don't know how to describe it, but you just feel like you almost like you forgot something. You know what that feeling when you forget something or you feel like you forgot something and you're on an airplane and you're like, holy shit, like how am I going to get through without this thing that I don't know that I don't have? You know what I mean? Like the buildup. It's like a volcano eruption. It's like an earth. It's like it's like the news. It's like politics. Everybody got all worked up about election day. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And what's going to happen? And then Trump gets elected, and then it's like, yeah, I guess the world didn't end that fucking day like we thought it was going to. And that's kind of what it is when you're grieving, and there's certain difficult months. You think all these things like, oh my God, that day is coming, that day is coming, that day is coming, that day is coming. Be prepared 1 week, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. And then the day gets there and I don't want to say you're fine, but you're definitely better than you've been the past couple of days. It's like you psych yourself out. It's literally you psych yourself out to be sad. And then when you don't cry on those days, you're like, what the fuck's the matter with me? Am I a sick person? Am I crying on Sarah's death day? Am I crying on my dad's death day? And then you're like, oh shit, I cried for the last month and a half before that. I'm all teared out. But these months are hard, man. The months are hard. And I think that's something that a lot of people who aren't experiencing like a grieving like others, they expect like the day of or right after the tragedy. But it's really like years after and the build up to like these weird anniversaries. You know what I mean? Just like a birthday party. You get all excited for your birthday party. You make plans. You're like, oh, I'm going to go dancing. I'm going to go to dinner. I'm going to see my friends. Oh my God, I'm stressed. I don't know if I want to do this. Oh my God, planning's a nightmare. This person canceled. This person canceled. We got to change dinner reservations. We got to plan outfits. Now we got to switch. This place is cold. Oh, it's raining, so we can't go here. And then once it comes, you're just like, oh yeah, that was a lot of stress for no reason. Similar with grief. It's similar with grief, man. You really psych yourself out in the build up to those days. And how do you get through it? How do you get through it? I think if there was a legit answer, I don't think I'd be here. You know, I think it's just something you really kind of have to get through. Stay busy. These months, I love to stay busy. Again, try to travel as much as I can. I try to do comedy as much as I can. I try to edit. I try to just keep myself occupied. Because the more you think about it, the crazier your mind goes. Because your mind is a wild thing. It's a wild thing. But if anyone's going through these months, if anyone's going through some difficult months or leading up to difficult months, I feel for you. And it's okay. Like, you know what I mean? We don't owe explanations to anybody. We don't have to justify to anybody why. Bless me. We don't have to feel bad about it. We don't. Like, you know what I mean? I've come to the realization that January, February, June, July, and August are just going to be difficult months for me. They're going to be months where just for some reason, I'm not fully emotionally there, or I'm just distracted, or I'm frustrated, or I'm stressed, or I have really bad anxiety. You know, like, it's, I don't even know like how to say it. Like, it's just anxiety and PTSD is just such a bizarre thing. Like, whatever you picture it being like, it's not what it's like. It takes over in such a weird way. And I guess because I've been on stage, because I played hockey, I'm very familiar with my body and my mind. Like, I can pick up on these things where I'm like, oh, something's definitely a brewing. I don't always know what's a brewing, but I can feel that something's off. If you're not someone like that and these things come out and surprise you, if you're having like a difficult month and you have no, like, get into your body, feel your body out, you know, do something physical, do something where your body has to respond and like a survival mode. Like stage, you go on, you have to survive. You have to talk on stage. If you're just quiet, people are going to stare at you and your body is going to retreat. So talking on stage and doing comedy is essentially a survival technique. You're up there and you're trying to survive in front of a group of people making them laugh. So your body kicks into that survival mode. Are you guys enjoying this podcast? Great, because you'll enjoy me doing my thing live. I have stand-up comedy dates for you. This weekend at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club, I will be opening for the hilarious Craig Gass. 4 shows, 7:30, 9:30, Friday, Saturday. Then I will have my show at Smoke and Fire on January 22nd. Again, hilarious lineup, unlimited guest list. If you guys want to check this out and get a blueberry chicken sandwich, highly recommend. Hit the DMs, hit the comments for tickets on that. Ron Vi headlining with Liz Stone, John Hilder, some surprise guests. Super excited for it. And then I have some headlining dates. I will be headlining Buck's Tavern, one of my favorite local shows here in Vegas, on January 29th. It is also Wednesday. That is a no-cover show. So come out, hang out, get some drinks, and enjoy some comedy. That show gets super off the rails. I improv pretty much 40 minutes straight. I do a lot of riffing, new material. I work on a bunch of stuff. So if you're trying to see like raw sets on stuff that I'm working on, Buck's Tavern, for sure the place to go. And then I'll be back at the Notoriety, the Downtown Comedy Lounge on Fremont in Las Vegas. On February 14th and 15th, I'll be headlining that show. I headlined last month, and I had an absolute fucking blast. So if you guys want to come out to that, hit me up. I'll get you on the guest list for that. And then I am back at Jimmy Kimmel's on February 21st and 22nd for the Keenan Presents comedy. Keenan Presents comedy. My notes are bad. But I'll be closing those shows out. I'm not sure about guest lists on that, but if you guys are interested in coming, please just let me know, and I'll do my best to get you guys on the guest list. If not, I will send you a ticket link. I'm going to wrap up with something that is near and dear to my heart. And even though I haven't been on it as much as I used to when I first started, TikTok apparently is going to get banned on Sunday the 20th. And do I think it's going to get banned? Absolutely not. I think somehow it'll get worked out. I think it's too woven into our culture and to our society to fully get rid of. But in case it does, TikTok was a great outlet for me in a space and time where I was at my darkest. It was COVID, like most people. But Sarah just got put into hospice. We thought we were going to lose her a couple months earlier. And we got this blessing where we got to just kind of have 8 months where we stayed in with each other. And I couldn't do comedy. I couldn't be creative. I couldn't, it was tough for a lot of us artists because we couldn't do what we wanted to do. And if we did do it, it was like on Zoom. It's on some shitty, outside show where they honked at you. TikTok gave me the outlet to really be creative and learn how to talk about Sarah. I got somewhat big with the Babe character. If you guys are watching on TikTok, Babe was a fan favorite for a long time. We would do little sketches where I would play her, I'd play me, and it was just simple little silly tiffs that we would get in every day, or little things that we would go back, typical marital things. And I would just kind of make it like how she was. She was just always very bubbly and babe, can you help me? It was very fun. And it was very healing for me during this dark time. I look back on those times and I realize how sick she was and how there wasn't a lot of time left. And I'm glad that TikTok was able to provide me an outlet to really kind of deal with that stress. And I developed a really awesome community on there. And I did hundreds of these videos, and people fell in love with Sarah through the character. People fell in love with me through the character. And that genuine support that I got from my following on TikTok during those months probably saved my life, to be perfectly honest with you. I was in a really bad place, especially after Sarah left. But even before, I didn't realize how bad of a place I was in. And you guys gave me an outlet of joy and gave me an outlet of creative freedom that I never thought I would have. And I appreciate you, TikTok. And if you go away, we always lose things. We always leave things. Nothing lasts forever, but you will always hold a special place in my heart, because I don't think I'd be doing anything I'm doing right now if it wasn't for you. I wouldn't be talking about Sarah on stage. I wouldn't be doing this widower material. I know I just started coming back to TikTok, and of course it's going to get possibly banned right when I come back, but I appreciate it. And I appreciate everyone who discovered me through TikTok and everyone who supported me and the kind words that everyone gave during those times. And if you are someone who's going to struggle once TikTok is gone because of mental health, because of lack of information, because of it being your job or helping your business, that sucks. And I feel for you. But if anything that I've learned through my life and my ups and downs is something will always come around. Something will always pop its head out and give you an opportunity. You just have to be in a good space to take it, to run with it, and to enjoy it while it's there. So again, TikTok, if this is the last time we're on you this weekend, thank you for giving me a lot of myself, preserving a lot of myself in a time where I didn't know I needed to preserve myself. And thank you for giving me the most off the rails algorithms I could ever fucking ask for. Bro, it would be like stand-up comedy, dogs, cats, hockey, a couple other things. And then it would just be the most random video. And I'm like, why the fuck is this on this? And then I would scroll the comments and it'd be 40 minutes of me stoned laughing at people's comments and TikTok. I'm like, damn, TikTok. Your algorithm, know your boy. And I appreciate you. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Heartbroken and Housebroken podcast. Again, if you guys aren't subscribed or following me on social media, please do. I really do appreciate it. Like, comment, message me. Let me know if you guys want to hear any topics, want me to riff on anything specific. Happy to do it. With that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you next time.